Spoiler alert.
Spoiler.
Make sure you watch the episode before watching this video because we will be giving details of the show. So make sure you watch the episode first. Hey y'all, I'm Ivy.
And I'm Yak.
And welcome to episode 4 of Show Realms. So on this episode, we're going to be going over episode 4 of Archive 81.
You hear it?
Hear what?
There's something in this place that calls to you.
But before we get started, make sure you grab your snacks, grab your drinks, and come vibe with us. Relax your body.
Clear your mind.
Open your soul. Forget everything you got going on.
All that.
And come vibe with us. Welcome to our room. So y'all, this episode starts off with talking about a famous painter. So this famous painter has a sister named Cassandra, and basically it goes into just talk about all her paintings, and she was basically a supernatural painting. So she was into all the tuning forks, the Coronite, and all that. And basically her paintings was held in like different exhibits, different museums, and stuff like that.
So now they get into the show, and this Dan, he got the feed on loop. So he basically like, I'm going to go up and down the basement. So main thing that he trying to do is get into that one room that you can see, because he got this little flashlight. You can see through the window. It's got all the files. So he like, okay, this the room I need to get into. Now it's got a code lock on it. So he's like, I got to crack this code. So he's trying different codes, writing them down, crossing them out. So basically, he rolled back to the shoestring like, I ain't getting no help. I got to call Mark. Maybe Mark can figure it out. So basically, he like, I'm going to send you the picture of the model. And once I send you the picture of the model, you basically find me somebody legitimate that can hack into this.
Yeah. So now Dan has another interaction with Melanie, and this time he has it, outside after he talks to Mark. He's outside, and he actually sees Melanie and is talking to Melanie, and basically he's having this interaction with her, and then someone calls, like, snaps him out of it, and it's actually the lady that's been coming over, in the red jacket. So she's basically like, what are you doing? Like, you was just standing there. And he's like, what time is it? Because by now it's dark. And
he literally been standing there for about 3-4 hours.
Yeah, she was like, you're just standing there. And he's like, oh crap. So he goes in the house. He actually gets a call from Virgil, and Virgil just going off of him, telling him basically, you ain't send me no video today, like, what's going on? So Dan's like, I'll get back to it. So he gets back into the video. So in this clip, Melanie and Annabelle is actually going over to Mrs. Wall's house. And when they go over to Mrs. Wall's house, they're having a conversation with her. And that's when they find out that, in the intro, how we was talking about this famous painter and how she had a sister named Cassandra. Well, Mrs. Wall is actually Cassandra. So Cassandra is going on, and she actually shows them this necklace that she has. And inside it is made of Coronite. So, she goes into talking about that. And then she starts talking about this paint that her sister used, to make her paintings. And she actually comes out with a jar of the paint. So mind you, the paint is black. And it's a huge jar of paint, and she gives it to Annabelle. And Annabelle is like, ooh, thank you, because Annabelle
she accepted that paint.
Exactly. Annabelle is an artist or whatever. So she takes the paint, they leave the place, and, they get in the elevator, and Melanie is just going on like, wow, her sister and this and that. And then Annabelle's like, they weren't sisters, right? They were lovers. But, back then they couldn't announce themselves as lovers. So they announced themselves as sisters.
Oh, hi. Wait a minute.
She make it even more awkward. She basically like, yeah, we seen you banging out to marry. So he like, that's my ex, blah blah this, blah blah that.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, that was something. So they
Right.
flashback to when Dan was young. So I'm like, okay, what does this have to do with anything? So first thing happens is his sister. His sister's like, Dad tells me that there's ghosts. So Dan like, he don't tell you that.
Right. Ghost not real.
Right. And she like, oh yeah, he tells me that they're just lost.
And she's like, I see them, basically.
So now it's back to Dan as an adult. So first thing he doing, he running through the compound, and who he run into?
Yeah, Melanie. So Melanie is just sitting there, reading a notebook that she found, asking if it was for Dan, but it actually wasn't for Dan. So, they reminiscing, she's talking about a box that she found in Dan's room. Dan's telling her about the box, and, she's telling him about her mom's necklace. And so Dan actually drops a bomb on her. So he basically tells her that his dad is Mr. Turner. And she's like, wait, what? And he's like, my dad is dead. So when he says that, she's like, no, it's no way, So she was like, it's no way that your dad's dead. Like, Mr. Turner, he's not dead. So that caused a lot of confusion.
So now he just snap out of it. So the lights out. He turn on the light. First thing he do, he look in the closet. There's 100 notebooks like the notebook that he been seeing. And inside every notebook, because he checked by 2 or 3 of them, is this Bellows guy, T.
Yeah.
Bellows. So he like, hey, I got to figure out who that is. So he looking through the books. He keep looking through the books, and they got all the codes. They a whole lot of numbers, and then all of a sudden he reach one, it's circled. So the first thing he think, he like, that's got to be the code to that locked room.
Yeah, that's the first thing I thought when he saw that number. I'm like, that's the code.
So first thing he do, he head down to the basement. He like, he free and clear. He can do that. He check it. It worked.
So after he finally breaks into the room and, he gets a file. So he finds a file about basically his dad. And so he's telling Mark about the file that he found. So, Mark is talking to him, blah, blah, blah. They get off the phone. And Mark is now at basically a building. And that's where he hosts all his podcasts and shows and stuff like that. So when he's there, guess who pops up, y'all? Virgil. Virgil pops up and he's basically... Mark didn't know who he was at first. He's basically like, who is this? So Virgil just straight out tell him like, oh, I know you, Dan's friend, blah, blah, blah. They going to talk about that. And the whole basis of this visit was basically to threaten Mark. He wants Mark to spy on Dan for him because he keeps using his mental health. He's like, this is like really tough tapes and stuff like this, and basically want him to spy on him because he basically told him like, I know that Dan was admitted into a mental health facility, and I know he was admitted by you basically on your father's dime. So he's like, you spy on him for me, and Mark is like, no, like I'm not doing that. But he gives him his card and was like, call me if you change your mind.
So now we back to the video. So Annabelle, she always been the one that's just free spirit. She start tripping out. And I told you, I was like,
Yeah.
as soon as she get that paint, she gonna be hooked like cooked crack.
Peanut butter and crap paint.
Yeah.
So I was like, there go Mel, heading to Cassandra's little party. So she telling Annabelle like, hey, I know you gonna come. You coming to the party with me? Annabelle so out of it, she like, I'm gonna be there in a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm like, you gonna let her go by herself? So you really just letting her go out there by herself. So at the party, she go to the party, and first thing she see is she find this actress Evie that's at the party, and come to find out she's the daughter of William Crest.
So William Crest was actually an actor. So everyone is just fascinated with, saying good things about William Crest. They was like, oh my God, his work was amazing. His work was amazing. So Cassandra goes to ask like, oh yeah, I heard about this show that he did. It's called The Circle. And, the daughter goes on to say, yeah, it's about this cult and stuff in Hollywood and underground and, all kind of stuff like that. So Cassandra is like asking her, like, oh, well, yeah, they said the tapes are lost. Like, do you know where they could be at? And, stuff like that. And the daughter's like, no, I don't know anything like that. So, while that's going on, Melanie being sneaky, because she know that wardrobe's in there. So she's like, I got to open this wardrobe because I want to see this thing that was in there when they had the little community, the little cult meeting.
Little leprechaun.
Yeah, so she goes to the wardrobe. She's trying to open it with a pen. And Samuel pop up like, nah, they ain't gonna open it. Use my key. So they open it, with the key, and it turns out there's a statue in there. So, Cassandra pops in and was like, oh, it's like a self-portrait or something. So the little leprechaun looking thing not in there. So after they find out that the little leprechaun thing is not in there, they go sit at the table, and they really pressed about these freaking lost tapes from William Craig's daughter.
Amazing.
Right? So they're like, you know what? Beatrice was there. Remember, Beatrice is a medium. So she's like, Beatrice is here. You can go ahead. She's a medium, so you can communicate with your father. And she's like, oh, wow. So, they dim the lights, do this little seance and all that. So she basically gets in contact with her father. And they're like, she's having a conversation with her father. They're like, ask him a question so that it's really your father. Ask him something that only he would know. So she asked him, and he actually answered the question correctly. So not everybody, Cassandra, she like, ask him about the tapes.
She on him about that circle.
Yeah, so she asked him about the tapes, and that's where things go weird. So first they asked him who was in the tapes, and he says, who's in the tapes? Then it was like, where's the tapes? So as soon as they said, where are the tapes? Like, he flipped. Poor Beatrice, she going through it, and he's basically like, stay away. Then he say, stay away from. So when he say stay away from, like, that's it. Beatrice like snaps out of it. So I'm like, from who?
So now I'm like, it's time to go. So Melody, she get up from the table. So I'm like, oh, okay, she about to get up out of there. Sandra like, don't you know somebody that you looking for? So Melody like, nah, I ain't looking for nobody dead.
Right.
So she like, well, you don't know. It could be. So I'm like, oh, she not about to go for that. What she do? Sit down, start revealing everything. So she gonna be part of the seance. So she basically like Julia Bennett. They searching for her. No answer. So I'm like, okay, so she ain't dead. So then all of a sudden, they about to break the connection. And Beatrice like, wait, there's someone else.
So as soon as she said there's someone else, like the tape, I don't remember if he paused the tape or it's static, but basically the tape stopped and Melanie shows up. And so Melanie shows up into like Dan's room where he's at, and they're talking, and Dan remembers when his sister was like, they're ghosts, they're just lost, and they just need help. So Dan just finally breaks it to Melanie and let him know, like, hey, I'm restoring this tape. These are your tapes.
You basically tell you a ghost you dead.
Yeah, because she starts finding her stuff. She finds her notebook, and her notebook is the necklace. And she's like, you took my stuff. And he's like, no, girl, like, you did. Like, this stuff was given to me. And so it's like she couldn't accept the fact that she was dead, And so after that happens, it goes back to the video. So when it goes back to the video, the seance just took a crazy turn, because now they're saying that, it's someone else, and Beatrice just starts repeating the conversation that Melanie just had in the room with Dan. So, I mean, word for word, she was repeating everything, and Melanie is like, how do you know this? Like, how do you know this? And I'm like, what? Like, she just had that conversation. Like, how is she repeating this? And so, after that, Beatrice starts flipping. She's like, no. And she starts clawing at her face, y'all. I mean, she's bleeding. I mean, it is bad. So Tamara finally gets up and is like, we have to call an ambulance. So they call the ambulance. The ambulance come get Beatrice. And mind you, Beatrice is getting taken into the back of the ambulance. And Melanie is still like, what happened? I gotta know more. And I'm like, girl, you saw what just happened to her? She don't want to go back and find out more. So, Melanie is like, dang. So she goes to the room to check on Annabelle. And Annabelle, y'all, she done went crazy. She got drawings everywhere about these scribbles, this black stuff. Y'all, it's crazy.
So yeah, now there's like 100 drawings sitting up there, and then all of a sudden, nope. Tune in tomorrow.
Yeah, y'all. So that's it for the video today. Tomorrow we'll upload in, episode 5. So tune in for that. Like, subscribe, and just let us know down below what y'all felt from this episode. Like, what y'all think going on. So thank y'all for watching, and tune in tomorrow to come get this fire content.